Continues on the night of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Kawhi Leonard only took 14 shots. He was clearly the focus of the Golden State attention, and understandably so. Nevertheless, he went for 23, 8, and 5. More importantly, a 1-0 lead over Golden State.
We know that they're human. They're a great basketball team. Talented players, high basketball IQ players. You just got to go out there and compete, take the challenge. We know they're going to make, big shots, go on runs, and it's about just keeping your composure and keep fighting through. Don't put your head down when, players, Steph or Clay make big threes. Just keep playing.
Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump, joins us live from Toronto. And composure's a word. I had written down poised earlier. We talked to Pascal Siakam. This kid's in his first game in the finals. I kid. It's not. He's a young man, and he played like a grown man tonight. And the word poised seems to apply to him and this team. There's very little celebrating. This is what they came to do. What was your sense as you were with the Raptors following this win?
It was so striking, not just seeing it, but seeing it and what a contrast it was to past Raptors teams, and frankly, what a contrast it was to other teams that have played the Warriors during this playoff season. We saw Houston, in that Game 6 especially, start to panic a little bit as Steph Curry made that run that ended up sealing that series. We definitely saw in the series against Portland. Portland was up 15 points, 17 points in those games, and yet in the final 10 minutes, Scott, they're chucking up threes like they're the ones behind, panicking under the weight of what they know the Warriors' flurry can do. This Raptors team, even when Golden State got within 3-2 in the fourth quarter, didn't panic, and that's so different from what we've seen from Toronto in the past. Think about how they fell apart during Eastern Conference Finals or against LeBron. I talked to Masai Ujiri about this after the game, and he said, look, we did change out a lot of personnel, and he talked about Siakam, and he talked about Kawhi, and he talked about Marc Gasol and sort of the control that he has. And then he said a guy like Kyle Lowry, because it's not all on him anymore, he doesn't panic anymore either. And you could see it tonight. This is why Masai put himself on the ledge for all those changes. They paid off in this kind of game.
Rachel, there's a term I used to use back in the radio days, particularly when I talked to college coaches, about the value of the venue. And tonight, it seemed like the Raptors were able to tap into something. I mean, you're shaking your head. What was that? Paint the picture for me. What's that scene like?
Yeah, absolutely. You could kind of feel it building, I wouldn't say all day, but really all week. We had Tracy McGrady with us on The Jump, and he could not go 4 feet in the city without someone stopping him to tell him how excited they were and how he had started what was being built up till now. You got in the building. People were lining up, Scott, to be in Jurassic Park 7 hours before it even opened. And then once that we were in the arena on the floor tonight, when that national anthem rang out, and it is the first time that an NBA Finals has ever been held outside the United States, the pride in this building was so strong. And you could see the players impacted by it. A lot of arenas now have the fans with the little lights and everything, but it was pretty cool to look around and see that tonight, because you could see each individual person and how much it meant to them and how much that all sank onto the floor as they started this game.
Yeah, that's well said. And watching from afar, you could sense it. But, look, this team, I can't figure out if they're giving the crowd that or if the crowd's giving them. It feels like they take turns giving each other whatever they need. This Raptors team is just totally different from what they felt like in years past. And obviously that's the sense that you got from being around them.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a very Canadian sense about them, right? That they have calmness. They're a bunch of nice guys. It's a team that this country can be proud of. And it's really all of their history wrapped up in this moment. I mentioned Tracy McGrady. I was in Jurassic Park earlier, and I saw someone wearing a throwback Vancouver Grizzlies big country jersey, Scott. So it's all here. All 25 years has come and meant to this moment, and I think both the team and its fans know how special it is.
Well, they got 3 more to go, but it's a hell of a start. Rachel, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen A. Smith joins us. He has long been a guy. And Stephen A., I don't know if you were able to hear my conversation with Pascal, but one of the things he said was, okay, well then I'll just let you know, one of the points he made was that he said there's no pressure tonight. And I said, how do you make Game 1 of the NBA Finals, a no-pressure situation. But he was spectacular. Gasol was great, and he was great on the defensive end. What was your impression of the way this game was won? Is it a Raptors defense? Is it Siakam? For you, the headline here is what?
Well, I think it was the combination of the Raptors defense and the fact that Andre Iguodala was absolutely no factor whatsoever offensively. He was helping to play good defense on Kawhi Leonard, but offensively, he was a no-show, and that's not something that you can bank on for the Golden State Warriors to win a championship. Toronto's defense was absolutely exceptional. Pascal Siakam hit 14 of 17 shots, got open on the break, got some baskets on the break, but also was driving to the basket with vigor, was trying to make things happen. Marc Gasol came in the game. When he was in the game, Nick Nurse made sure to get him the basketball. He scored 20 points, hit 6 of his 10 shots. But the key thing for me is Toronto's size, their ability to switch, and their ability to double obviously was a very, very significant factor. When Golden State doubled Kawhi Leonard, other guys stepped up. When the Toronto Raptors doubled Steph Curry, virtually no one stepped up. Klay Thompson may have had 21 points, may have hit 8 of 17 shots and what have you, but where was anybody else? Iguodala wasn't making shots. Draymond Green wasn't making shots. Obviously, there was no one else to speak of that was really making shots for the Golden State Warriors, and I expected Andre Iguodala, a person that was going to have a multitude of open shots available to him, to be more of an offensive factor. He was not, and that was very, very surprising. So as far as I'm concerned, that was obviously a big factor. You're going to have to get some help for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in order to win this series.
Toronto is a team that clearly has played its best basketball in these last 5 games. They found something against Milwaukee. They rode it to these finals. And now, riding the emotion of an incredible crowd, they play a great game. How sustainable, Stephen A., do you feel like what we saw tonight was? Because we know how drastically things can change. But do you feel like tonight is a repeatable performance for the Raptors?
Well, I don't think it's a repeatable performance if Golden State is making shots. Remember, I just pointed out how Steph Curry had 34 points, hit all 14 of his free throws. You look at Klay Thompson, he contributed 21 points.
Right.
Nobody else really stepped up and provided anything offensively, and they were still within striking distance within the last 5 minutes of the game.
Agreed.
So take that into consideration, understanding that, again, can you rely on Pascal Siakam to score 32 points? I don't think so. Can you rely on Marc Gasol to score 20 points? I don't think so. But I do think the key is, number one, you can depend on the 15 points that Van Vliet gave you, and you can depend on somebody else giving you some kind of offensive contribution, which basically means if you're the Golden State Warriors, somebody has to step up on the offensive side of the ball and help out Steph and Klay. Give me about 15 points, whether you're Iguodala, you're Livingston, you're Looney, anybody that you can find. Well, give me something offensively.
Well, they got a guy that wears number 35 that if he can put the jersey on at some point, obviously changes things drastically. I mean, when and if. I wonder, Stephen A., I mean, look, he came with him, and all I could do was connect the dots in my mind and think, well, maybe this means he's available for Game 2 if necessary. I mean, tonight showed that was necessary. I wonder, and I'm only guessing and talking out loud to you, whether this ramps up the desire for Golden State to say, look, can you give us something tonight? Do you think that conversation takes place? No?
No, not before Game 2. I think it could potentially take place before Game 3 at the Oracle next Wednesday, but I don't think it's necessary to take place before then. I think if somebody had hit shots tonight other than Steph Curry and a little bit from Klay Thompson, other than those two, if somebody had hit shots, I think Golden State still would have won this game. So I think you come back for Game 2 understanding that somebody needs to provide something offensively. Get out, practice, shoot 200, 300 jump shots a day for all I care. Figure out something to make a contribution on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they will be fine. But let's not disrespect Toronto. They're obviously a great team.
Yep.
They're a great defensive team. They've got size. They've got athleticism. They know how to play collective defense. These guys know what they're doing. But Golden State had its opportunities despite everything that I'm pointing out about how great Toronto's defense was. They still were in striking distance. It's just that nobody really showed up to help out Steph and Klay. That's simple.
All right, think of this last answer as a tweet. You only have but 200 characters. How good was the environment that you were in tonight in Toronto?
Electric. Inside and outside. Actually, outside was better than inside, and inside was electric. That good enough for you?
Perfect. Hit send. See you in the morning. Thank you, Stephen A. Appreciate you.
All right, my man.
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Stephen A. Smith. All right, you see, the most consecutive wins against the Warriors against in the Steve Kerr era. I always say it that way just because he makes fun of the Steve Kerr era. The Cavaliers got 4. Raptors 3-0 this year. Now, look, regular season, I never care. Kawhi didn't play out by the band. They still crushed him. Remember? He didn't even play and they crushed him. Whatever. 1-0 right now. That's what matters. But they have won 3 in a row this year. All right, what was that thing he was wearing? No, I don't expect you to know what that unless you know if is it couture? What was that he was wearing?
You're talking about the sweater after the game that was
I don't know. It was like an orange thing.
It was bright orange.
Yeah, it was kind of like a bath mat.
I'll just say, Scott, he got asked about it after the cameras were off for information on where he got it, and he refused to reveal.
Okay.
So I'll get on the investigation as soon as we're done with the interview.
It's really not that important. What is important is we saw him grab at that left hamstring. What sense is there about how much that's going to linger?
Yeah, so they were working on him on the bench, working on that left leg. Now, it was a calf in the last round. He was grabbing his thigh in this issue, and then he tweaked it again. He said that he's fine and he'll be ready to go for Game 2. Steve Kerr said we'll have an update tomorrow, which indicates there could be some imaging, although they didn't commit to that. He did not stay for extended treatment after the game, and he did not walk off with a terrible limp, but he's clearly dealing with an issue, and the 9 days off that they had between games did not clear it up. So that's definitely something to monitor.
All right, we saw Boogie for some, which surprised me. I was shocked that happened, but we did see him play in this game. You told me last series that they would not go to Durant until they trailed. Well, now they trail. Does this ramp up the whether he's ready or not? We got to try to get you out there, kind of deal.
I am told no, that the plan remains that he will not play in Game 2. They will try to get him out there for a practice between Games 2 and 3, see how he reacts to that. It's going to be Game 3 at the earliest. Scott, let's just be honest here. If they get down 2-0, I think there's a very good chance you're going to see Durant in Game 3. They've got no reason not to, but I don't think you're going to see him come to the rescue on Sunday. And as for Boogie, they were encouraged by the way he played tonight, but you just heard Steve Kerr say they had trouble in transition, and that's where Boogie is struggling. He can't get back in transition. When he's out there, the Raptors try to run even more. So Steve Kerr's got a difficult situation here. Boogie probably earned some more minutes, but I don't know if that's the exact antidote for the way that the Raptors play. That's something to watch. I did talk to Boogie after the game. He was very he wasn't happy about the loss, but he was cool with his role. It wasn't causing any issue with him. He was happy to be out there.
Steve Kerr used the term dare shots for Gasol. Like they were going to if Gasol and Siakam are going to go for 50-something, then they're going to deal with it. I mean, I guess they'll roll with that approach again?
That's right. Now let's go back 2 weeks ago when they played the Blazers.
Right.
They were like, look, Damian Lillard is not going to win this series against us. We're going to take him out of it. So the same game plan was employed on Kawhi Leonard tonight. They forced the ball out of his hands. He only took 14 shots. They were thrilled with that. Obviously, Siakam had one of the best games we've seen for a rookie in finals history. Gasol had a great game. The Warriors are confident and collected, and they believe that game plan is going to work. They think they can clean up the transition. They'll be just fine.
Brian, appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.